here with Joel, St-Denis.
Yeah.
We're about to check out some pretty new, awesome stuff, right?
That's right. That's right. We're going to start out with a brand new product that we launched here at the show. It's called Sapphire. It's the first high brightness hybrid projector in the market. So a lot of people think there's not innovation left in projection, but we managed to do something innovative here. So what we did is we basically combined a pure RGB light source with a laser phosphor light source to create a projector that gives P3 color space. And one of the things Christie's been really pushing over the last several years is doing the best color reproduction possible when you are actually basically projecting. So you have effectively a product here that can reach the P3 color space, unlike our pure RGB projectors that reach Rec 2020. The challenge is those pure RGB projectors have a wavelength that doesn't like doing certain things like reprojection, for instance, or 3D applications like Infotech 3D. So that would be something where if you go to a theme park and you're going through, a ride and you put your glasses on, they have the best kind of 3D that typically uses what's called an Infotech filter. So those are the things that we weren't able to do with RGB. So we had a gap in our product line. So Sapphire, which we started developing 2 years ago, is just going to mass production in April, is a 40,000 lumen projector that solves both of those gaps in our portfolio. You can now do rear projection, you can do Infotech 3D, but you don't need to do those things. You can use it as a 40,000 lumen projector that is going to look better than a traditional laser phosphor projector, for instance.
That's an insane amount of brightness.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We actually have a 50K in another product line, our Griffin series.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, so it fits between our 35 and our 50K. But with a different illumination, a hybrid illumination that allows you to do those things that the RGB projectors are not necessarily suited for.
And is this your first RGB laser?
It's our first hybrid. We actually, years back, a lot of the industry switched, when everybody switched over to laser, I would say most of our competitors went with a laser phosphor approach.
Sure.
We went pure RGB, which was a bit more expensive, but gave you the Rec 2020. It's like the closest the human eye can see effectively.
Right.
And that's what we've been really pushing. Color, you want the best color reproduction, you get a Christie.
And that's something that most, I would say, consumer grade projectors, think of Sony's and JVCs and the like, they do not have that RGB.
So some of them are starting to, but over the past years, most of them have been just running typically Rec 709 color space, which is what we're used to seeing on our TVs and stuff at home, which still looks good. That's not a bad thing.
Right.
But these bring it up to the next level, right? So you have Rec 709, which is what we're used to. P3, the best way to describe it is when you go see a movie, you might feel the colors are a little bit richer and stuff because they have color spaces that are mastered to the P3 color space. And then Rec 2020, which is like the top of the color gamut, if you will, which gives you the best colors, you need pure RGB for that.
And what kind of applications do you envision this for? Is this going into super high-end home theaters that are really large, or is this more commercial?
I would say this is more meant for commercial. We do have people who put, like, believe it or not, a 50,000 lumen RGB projector in their home theater because you don't have to run it at that brightness, but they want that color and the ability to have a larger screen and so on. But this, I think, the suited application are, live events, large venue application, theme parks, large immersive spaces where you want to do rear projection. You don't want to see the projector anywhere in the space.
Right.
That's what this could basically be ideally suited for. Trade shows, like you want to do some nice display in your booth, that kind of thing.
Sure. Can we take a look at the lens around the other side?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I'm assuming this does not ship with the projector. This is something that you buy
absolutely correct. So
separately?
All commercial projectors, typically, when they get to this grade, even at the 10,000 lumen level, in order to allow for maximum flexibility, they have different lens suites. So this is one of the 13 lenses that we have available for this projector.
13?
Yeah. Actually, soon to be 14 because we're bringing another lens to market. So, I always think, why do you need so many lenses? Well, think of it, if I'm a rental house and I'm basically have this projector to rent to customers, I don't know if they're going to be shooting across a building, across the street, and they need to have the projector 150 feet away from where they're going to shoot, or if they're going to be 20 feet from their projection surface, in which case they're going to want an ultra short throw lens, which is usually an L-shaped lens, where you can put the projector fairly close to where you're going to project, right? And anything in between, right? And then on top of that, you're going to have customers who want the most possible contrast they can have, right? Even though this has really good contrast at 2001, you can hit 4,000 to 1, double the contrast effectively. And when I'm saying 2001, that's full on-off contrast,
Right.
As opposed to dynamic contrasts, which are like, trust me, 2001 is excellent.
Yes.
You can get up to 4,000 to 1 with an ultra high contrast lens. You trade off brightness if you do that. So if you're less, you were talking about home cinema earlier. Not that Sapphire is necessarily ideal for that, but let's say you have somebody who has an RGB projector for home cinema and they want the best contrast. They're going to put an ultra high contrast lens on there. And their projector, instead of being 15,000 lumens, will be probably 25% less, so maybe 11,000 lumens, but you've doubled your contrast. And for them, that's more important.
Of course, right. And that loss in lumens is probably not going to matter a whole lot for the screen sizes that a typical residential...
Especially if it's in a light-controlled environment, right? People who want the 50,000 lumens is because they're going to illuminate something maybe at night outside where they're competing with a lot of street lights, other kind of buildings that have lights in the background. You want your stuff to punchy and not be like, you know, soft and feel bland, right?
Right.
It needs to like, wow, you want to look and go, man, look at that. That's awesome.
Right.
Right.
Now, what about the brains in this guy? Is there any internal processing or is that done outboard? Yeah, so we have a lot of built-in processing in here. They're literally on the other, I'll go back to the inputs here quickly. So you'll see over here, we have pretty much every input you can think of. We have HD SDI, we have HDMI 2.0 here, and we've recently just added an HDMI 2.1, which basically allows you from a single cable to do 4K 120 off one cable if you wanted to, right? This is a native 4K projector. Predominantly, the content is either HD or 4K. Obviously, if you feed this HD, it'll scale it to the 4K, you know, on this projector. But yeah, you have various input types that you put. Typically for rental staging, like use HD SDI, so we have the HD SDI connectors there, because that one you can run the cables as long as you want, whereas DisplayPort and HDMI, there's cable limits, otherwise you start introducing artifacts and things like that. So fantastic. And how much does this weigh?
This one's just under 200 pounds, so it's not a two-person lift. You want a couple people to do this. A lot of times, you know, they're rigged using rigging hands. Actually, if you look up there, that's a Griffin, but it's the exact same form factor as the Sapphire. So if I had a Sapphire up there, it would look exactly the same as that. And you can see we have rigging handles on there with truss.
Right.
There are partners that work with us that have rigging cages that you can buy if you want to do things like putting them on their side and things like that as well. So. All
right, that's pretty awesome. And you said that you have... so Sapphire is doing some rear projection over here.
So let's walk a little bit closer to that so you can show that. So so we wanted to again, because I mentioned this was one of the gaps we were filling was rear projection, or being able to project on different types of screen, including silver screen. We wanted to showcase, you know, how good the projector can look in a bright environment effectively, showing different pieces of content when it's rear project. So you can't see the projectors, obviously, because they're up in that structure behind it. Well, I say there's actually only one back there, but we always put a secondary one for live events in case we need a backup. But we've been using the one projector the whole time. And you can see you really have the colors popping and so on. And in fact, one of the things that is really nice about this color spectrum, the P3 color space, is, as I said, it's hard to tell unless you have like a laser phosphor projector next to it. You can see content that's been mastered for a Rec 709 compared to P3. It's immediately noticeable. You'll be like, wow, that looks so much, you know, punchier and so on, right?
And what do we have over here? You said you had one more new product.
Yes. So this is the Jazz series. This is our brand new line of 1DLP projectors. It is based on a new Texas Instruments DMD. So the DMD in a 1DLP or 3-chip, that's the difference why we call it 3-chip and 1-chip. That's the number of DMDs we have in there. Think of it as it's a chip that has a bunch of little micro mirrors that is being used to create the image, right? And effectively, this particular model uses a brand new chip. It's a 0.8-inch HEP DMD, which gives you, it's a very efficient chip. So it gives you better contrast. So you're hitting 1,500 to 1 true on-off contrast on this, which is a new high for basically full on-off on a 1DLP projector. It's also needs less cooling, and it's very efficient in terms of you're still able to get over 20,000 lumens on this DMD, right? So, for example, with this projector, we have 4 models. 2 that are 4K, one's 16,000 lumens, one that's 21,000 lumens. This happens to be the 21,000 lumens one, 3 of them blended together here.
Yeah,
they're blended together. And then we have a 1920 by 1200 version. It's a little bit less expensive, a little bit more brighter too. So when I've been saying lumens, in this case, I'm talking about ISO lumens, which are a little bit higher than ANSI. So you're hitting about 24,000 ISO lumens, which is about 20,000 ANSI lumens. With the highest brightness product in this category. It's still, you know, it's still not a one-man lift. They're heavier enough that you probably want 2 people to handle these, but it's not like the larger Griffin type or Sapphire projectors where you need multiple people. And one of the things we've always done at Christie, whether we're talking about the Sapphire or the Jazz series here, we always try to make sure that our lenses that we've used on previous projectors are compatible. So because you can imagine, we talked about lenses. If I've bought a fleet of 10 lenses and I want to switch my projectors, I don't want to have to toss those lenses, right? So you're able to reuse them on this. The one main difference is because the DMD is smaller, you can use the lenses we had, for example, on this model on our previous HS series.
Oh, cool.
But the throw ratio is different. So, for example, that particular lens, I'd say that used to be 0.38 to 1, which is a very short throw lens, ultra short throw. On the Jazz series, will end up being 0.46 to 1, which means that the throw ratio is a little bit wider, which means you may need to move your projector position in your application if you're replacing the projector.
But you're saving the lens, though.
That's
so
right.
That's,
you're getting to keep your lens.
It's a small sacrifice to make.
Exactly. Exactly.
Beautiful.
All right.
And price range, generally speaking, on these?
You know what? I'm on the product management side, so our salespeople will have to get into the price range on these. But
and they're available now?
Yes, they're available now. Yeah, we actually launched these in the fall. This is the first time we're showing these ones. The Sapphire is going to be available in April. So we're doing the launch here and mass production in April. And these ones, we've already done mass production, and we've already got some that are sold and being installed now.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Joel, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it.
And everybody out there, go to avnirvana.com and check out our home theater forum.